Almost as soon as I began channeling in the mid 1980s, my guides and angels started to teach me about something that they called beings. Now, they define beings as vast spheres which emerge from the tapestry of perfection of energy flows, that orchestration of the matrix, which we call God. Now, I know that there are many languages for spirituality, and all I can do is share the one that I got. Beings were so important for them to teach me about because beings are the first vehicle of separation from the perfect orchestration of energy that we call God. Beings are these vast spheres that are derived from that perfection of energy. They're an extension of God and the way God ultimately moves into expressions. So these vast spheres are derived from God and are God, but they make consciousness possible. They make it possible for the energy of God to evolve, to express. And some people say that for God to see itself in the expressions of itself. Well, beings are the start of that. Because we begin a process there is a process of individuation of consciousness that occurs in being before consciousness moves out into any manifesting dimension. Now, each being has a distinct purpose. I asked them what was the purpose of the being that I was from, and they said bridging the gap. Now, bridging the gap can happen in mental ways, like I do, crossing into areas where I can receive information. It can happen physically, like the cross between a horse and a zebra as a zebroid. It can be expressed spiritually in people who understand that all teachings, all religions, all the different languages for spirituality contain the truth that we are all one. So each being does carry a distinct purpose, a distinct frequency, and a tonal identity. And that's why when we meet others from our soul group, we tend to recognize them no matter what species they are here. Because being is the source of the part of us that we call soul. The God part of us is this glint of the eternal that we all carry. It comes, we bring it from being into manifestation. So being is the source of the soul. We could think of being as our oversoul. That's a term that a lot of people would understand this as. And like I said, our soul families come from being, and we often recognize other species and humans that are in our soul families. And because we are extensions of the being energy through our soul, which would be our first vehicle of expression or evolution, in the long process of ascension, we move ultimately back into our being. And then when the being purpose is complete, it will merge back into the perfection of the tapestry of God, taking all of the information, all of the expressions, all of the evolution, all of the experience that was from being. Now, we're going to talk also today about how beings are born. because I found that absolutely fascinating, the way that they described this to me. Have you ever seen one of those vibrating plates that has sand on it? And they play certain music, and the sand moves in different patterns. It's called somatics. And a very similar thing happens when beings are born. So let's go to back here, which is why I left back here. And we will grab another set of colorful items. So at the intersection, this is how it was explained to me. At the intersection of, say, two different types of energy flows. So let's think of this is time and this is life. And at the very junction of the two, there is a frequency that is a combination of the two frequencies of those flows. And as that frequency grows and grows and grows and enlarges, what happens is, well, the way they explained it to me was, if we could put glue, like Elmer's glue, on or just something of that consistency on the vibrating plate, what would happen is that expression would vibrate from that and eventually form a sphere. And then that sphere would get larger and larger and larger until it detached from the base. And I know that looks a little odd, but when the sphere detaches with a purpose that came out of this frequency, when it detaches, it moves as a sphere, and I'm not even sure I can draw a sphere, into a, like a free floating, and it continues to expand and expand and expand. Now, if you think about that, like a balloon, which I did, or bazooka bubble gum, but I think the balloon is a better correlation. If the being is expanding and expanding and expanding, what is expanding the being? Well, it's very simple. The God energy, the perfection of the two energies of these that were contributing to the vibration is what's expanding the balloon, so to speak, or the being. And I think I'm going to stop that here today and do the next piece in the next video. So until I see you again, please be well and please be blessed. And thank you for coming. As I said, there are many languages for spirituality. There might be some similarity to physics here. There might be some similarity to any other tradition here. But this was the way it was explained to me. So I'd love to know what you think about it. And until I see you again, please be well and please be blessed. Thanks for coming.